when we have fractions in an equation like this, well, let's just face it. We know that you don't like fractions. I'm not a big fan of fractions. Your teacher's probably not a big fan of fractions. It'd be nice to just get rid of the fractions. We're with you on that. So let's do that. To clear fractions. You probably already talked about this in class, but to clear fractions, get a common denominator. Doesn't even have to be the lowest common denominator necessarily, though that will make it easier. And then get rid of the fractions. Actually, it's really quite simple. We'll talk about an example in just a second right here. This example, 1/2 x plus 3 equals 3/8 x plus 4. First of all, don't forget, that can be written as 3 over 1, that can be written as 4 over 1. So we got to look at the fractions to get a common denominator. I see 2, I see 1, 8, and 1. So my common denominator with all of that is going to be, well, 8. So divide by 8, divide by 8, divide by 8, divide by 8. Multiply this by 4. The 2 by 4 to get an 8. So the top gets multiplied by 4. So we have 4/8 x plus top and bottom by 8 here. We'll do this in blue. Top and bottom by 8. So 3 times 8 is 24. This doesn't have to change. So that's still 3/8 x. And then again, top and bottom by 8, and I get 32. And now this is the big important step here, because now what I'm saying is I have all of my fractions divided by 8. So what I could do is multiply everything over here by 8 and distribute it to these two fractions, and multiply everything over here by 8 and distribute it to those two fractions. And the 8 that we're multiplying by will cancel with the 8's in the denominator. So effectively, once you get everything to have the same denominator, we could just get rid of the denominators and have 4x plus 24 equals 3x plus 32. And then from there, it's super easy. Just give myself a little bit more room again. Minus 24, I get 4x equals 3x plus 8 minus 3x. And I get x equals 8 as my answer, which I should then check just to make sure that it works. If x equals 8, 1/2 of x is, well, 1/2 of 8 is 4, plus 3 is 7. 3/8 of x, of 8, 3/8 of 8 is 3, plus 4 is 7. So it works out. X equals 8 is your final answer. So we have that example. Second example in your notes there is a little bit more complicated. What we need to do, first of all, we have a fraction outside a set of parentheses. I need to distribute this. If I try to use the method that we just used, it's going to make things really complicated here if I try to do that, because I don't actually have all of my final denominators. I need to get all of the parentheses out of here. I need to make sure I need to distribute everything before I find the common denominator, or otherwise I'm not necessarily going to be working with the right denominators. So I need to take that 1/3 and multiply it across. 1/3 times 5/2. Remember, I just multiply straight across. I get 5x over 6. And then I multiply it to the 2 over 1, and I get 2/3 equals 3x over 4 plus 23 over 30. Now we have some big denominators, 6, 3, 4, and 30. We got to figure out what the common denominator is here. You might remember, or might have figured out that if it's just 6, 3, and 4, we could use 24, but that's not going to work for the 30. And 4 doesn't go into 30, so 30 itself isn't going to work either. So we're going to have to use 60. 60 is the common denominator in this case. 60 here, 60 here, 60, and 60. So, times in the top and bottom by 10, we get 50x over 60. 3 times 20 gives me 60, so I got to have a 40 there. 4 times 15 gives me 60. You can do that one in your head. Remember, how long is a quarter hour? It's 15 minutes. 4 quarters means a whole. A whole hour is 60 minutes. So on the top I get 45x. And then top and bottom by 2 here, I get 46. And now, just like the previous example, I have everything in terms of the same denominator, so I'm just going to clear the denominators. And I have 50x plus 40 equals 45x, plus this was 46. And now again, it's a simple problem. Minus the 40 from both sides, or add the negative 40, depending on your teacher and what they've been talking about. I get plus 6, minus the 45 from both sides, or minus 45x rather. Minus 45x. I get 5x equals 6, which means I divide both sides by 5. It doesn't quite work out as a whole number, but that's okay, because 6/5 still counts. We leave it as 6/5. We do not turn this into a decimal. We don't turn it into the 1.2. We leave it as 6/5. And again, you can go back, and if you enter everything very carefully in your calculator, you can check this. There's a way to use the store command on your calculators. The button just above the on button, right above the on button on your calculator. There's a way to use that to help you check a bit more easily. Talk to your teacher about how to use that, because it can actually make this checking process much easier to do.